Hi, everyone. Welcome to Cyber Witch, your online resource for spiritual development. My name is Orly, and I have been working as a psychic and clairvoyant for almost 20 years. And I'm also a student of traditional yoga. So today I'm going to help teach you some ancient secrets to help develop your psychic abilities. Also, if you are new, please hit like and subscribe for new videos every week to help you to become spiritually stronger. So, for the past year, every week, I have been taking classes for yoga teacher training. And the type of yoga that I'm learning is beyond just the different asanas, the different postures and stretches. There is a lot in traditional yoga that goes way beyond that. And when we study ancient Vedic scriptures, they give us so many secrets that teach us how to develop our psychic abilities and spiritual awareness that have really helped me in my own personal work as a psychic and as a tarot reader. And so I put today's video together for you to help you to understand these ancient secrets and how you can work with them in your own spiritual practice to help make your psychic abilities more activated and to help teach you how to actually work on them. So, our thoughts and meditation as well are absolutely vital in these times. One of the main aspects of us connecting into the energetic frequency of Lucifer's current is to be able to understand and decipher information as it's flowing into us in various different ways. So that also is related to what goes on in our mind as we go about our day, and then also what flows into our mind when you're praying, doing a ritual or meditation or something like that. All of that is extremely important because reality is generating through our minds, and we play an active role in the power that we have of helping to create our own subjective realities that commingle with the overall objective reality and our own personal energy as well. And when we look at the importance of meditation, it is essentially venturing into your own self through meditation to discover so many different important things about your own self, about the universe, about the nature of reality, and how all of those things are connected, which also helps to teach and train your psychic abilities. And nowadays, there is so much information as well as misinformation available to people about how to activate your psychic abilities. So I am taking us back today to ancient knowledge that actually works. One of the main things that I'm going to be talking about today is information from one of the books I've been studying for my yoga teacher training, which is called the Yoga Sutras from Patanjali. And the Yoga Sutras teach us how to have a personal experience of the spiritual world through our bodies. And when we talk about yoga, like I was saying, yoga is not just those different stretching postures, which are called asanas, but there are many other facets to yoga known as the different limbs that are all essential to the overall understanding of how yoga works and how there are mental philosophies for training your mind through various means that coalesce with the other limbs. So in particular today, I'm going to teach you about Dharana and Dhyana. So Dharana has to do with our concentration of our mind. And then dhyana is a meditative practice that requires deep concentration. And so there are so many ways to develop your spiritual senses. But through working on our own spiritual energy is one of the main ways that the Yoga Sutras explains on how to activate these aspects of ourselves that are beyond ordinary reality and establish that connection between ourselves and the divine, so we have access to the source of all information, the cosmic mind, whatever you want to call it. And this requires work, of course. And the other aspect of it is you can also obtain this strong psychic connection from finding a personal connection to a deity or spirit that causes a Gnostic experience within you, which is essentially having the experience of the divine in a very personal way in your life where it explains itself to you and it is something that will change your life forever. And so all of these things would work along with the person devoting themselves to the spiritual world through things like mantras and other aspects of spiritual devotion and prayer. So we can find this first understanding being, if we want to help develop our psychic abilities, our clairvoyance, our connection to other realms, the ways of doing it are by working on our own personal energies through training and practice, and then also by aligning ourselves with some kind of deity or spirit that is going to also help teach us and guide us. Now, the important caveat here is none of this is conjuring a spirit and asking it to bestow abilities on you through some ritual or something like that. All of this is about ongoing training that we do to help develop our energy and make it stronger, and also our connection to the spirit realm and make that stronger, which takes time. But this is the way to really establish genuine clairvoyance and psychic abilities in yourself that is life-changing and also helps you to learn more about yourself and help your own path of healing and personal growth along with that as well. So that's really important to think about. A big aspect of this is really considering how it aligns with our personal growth and how we are really paying attention to everything that's going on outside of our spiritual practice and realizing how those things are connected. So when it comes to actually meditating and what the limb of yoga called dhyana relates to in the Yoga Sutras, it's building on the practices of asana, which is having different postures. So for example, in this, sitting in meditation, and then that physical posture relating to how we breathe, which is called pranayama, and that breath control also correlates to our own mental process, and then as well as pratyahara, which is controlling our senses to focus ourselves inward, and then with dharana, that's our concentration. So that is the goal of going into really deep spiritual gnosis, figuring it all out, being able to actually concentrate on what it is that you want to do. And so it's really important to think about what meditation actually is, because a lot of people will say that all these different things can be their form of meditation, but what we're talking about in the Yoga Sutras or in Vedic scriptures is meditation is leading us into deeper states of what's known as the Atman, which could be seen as our soul or the essence of our being, and it also activates other parts of our mind and raises our spiritual awareness overall. So it's really important when you also are meditating to not let things that come up in your mind control you, be it following those distractions into delusion or allowing the distractions to frustrate you and make you give up. And I'm going to get more into this later in how we train ourselves to become spiritually stronger. Now it's time for our 20-second vibe check. Dallas-based Colossal Biosciences has announced it has successfully created 3 dire wolf pups using ancient DNA and gene editing technology. Although these are not true dire wolves, as they are mostly gray wolves that have had their DNA altered to a level that has traits of what was once found in dire wolves. Whether good or bad, this is a precursor to modernization of DNA alterations and new DNA sciences that are coming out in the future. So much is coming ahead of us in the future, especially when those of us who see outside of linear time really start grappling with all the big changes and the shifts in the world and the literal evolution of humanity to deeper spiritual avenues and understanding, and our evolution in regards to science and spiritual sciences coalescing. And all of this is very foundational to help you to take these things very seriously. So there are some things that we can consider that get in the way of our psychic abilities. And in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, these are known as the Antarayas. These are 9 disturbances that distract our mind. And so what they are, I will list to you now. So they are disease, which includes any kind of imbalances in our body, idleness, and that relates to mental inactivity and paralysis, not being able to think about stuff in many different ways. It also includes doubt, and so that relates to being unsure and incapable of making decisions, not just in a literal physical sense, but in a mental sense as well. Carelessness, which is described as not taking the time to learn about your mind and learn about your body and all the nuances in how that relates to different yogic and spiritual sciences. Sloth, which is a lack of mental or physical effort in your life. Then also lack of detachment, which is where you are so focused on your desires in the material world that it essentially imprisons you. As well as misapprehension. And so what that means is essentially having the wrong information or ideas or presumptions about things in your reality or in your spirituality that confuse you and cause problems because you are believing things that are not true. And then also failure to attain a base for concentration. So not allowing yourself to train to be able to concentrate. Concentration requires effort and work because everything in life is really set up to distract us. So you really want to try to work on being able to do that. And then finally, the last one is instability. So this can be a lack of personal balance in your literal postures or asanas, but then it also relates to the overarching vibe of your life. So if your life is really unstable from your lifestyle and has no foundation, that is also something that's going to get in the way of your spiritual work. And all these things will interfere with the development of your psychic abilities. So it's really important to think about those things, especially when we are getting into meditation and thoughts come into our minds. There is a Buddhist idea that the thoughts are like clouds and they come into your mind, and you can look at them, but just allow them to go and flow away. If we are too caught up in what are all those thoughts and start obsessing over that, it can even lead way to delusions, because there's so many illusions and delusions that will come into your mind through meditation. And it's important to just not hold on to them and don't care if it keeps happening. Allow yourself to just let it go. And then eventually it will become easier to you. And then you can get into deeper aspects of meditation. The yogis call the deeper states of meditation samadhi. And there are so many different levels to that, each with their own benefit. But when you get into those deep states, you are literally opening yourself up to contact with the spiritual parts of your mind that is open to everything in creation, and literal spirits themselves that can help you and help guide you. And so all of this is really important to consider when we are applying these ancient secrets to our own spiritual practices to develop our psychic abilities. You're watching Cyber Witch. Thanks for all of your support. Please check out my new website, thecyberwitch.com, for tarot readings, spiritual coaching, and all my online video courses. That's linked down below. And now back to the show. Unfortunately, many spiritual people do not have a purpose currently at this time, or feel like they do not have a purpose. And the reason for this is so many people's spiritual practice is extremely selfish in how it is centered. And this is related to people who use it like a toy or like a game in their own narcissistic endeavors. And it always fails. And this is often what leads to so many people feeling a lack of purpose, because, of course, it is always okay to ask for help and pray when we need help. But remember that we are not alone. And that is also not for childish reasons. So we must collectively mature to help manifest the developing currents of the Luciferian age of enlightenment in the world around us through working hard on training our spiritual minds and bodies. And all these things just start to make more sense. So I hope that you enjoyed what I've shared today from my yoga teacher training, and I hope that it helped inspire some things in your spiritual practice. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments of this video. And if you would like to reach me for any of my spiritual services or online classes, or as well if you would like help with spiritual coaching in your life, you can find all that stuff linked in the description of this video. Thank you so much to all of my channel members and patrons. Please hit like if you're new, and also subscribe to really help the channel to grow. And I'll see you next time. Bye.